This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I am your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me is Ricky Widmer.
You really like that you can do, well, barring if anything doesn't go catastrophically wrong, that you can now point to them when you do this.
You know, I gotta be some
talk
showman.
to the nation.
You know, I mean, people keep saying, I want pictures moving. I want something happening. So I gotta give them a show. I mean, they're watching us, man. We can't just be like, so what do you think about the draft? We gotta give something for them to stare at. We gotta give them something for their money here. But
we can finally do what you and Rankin have talked about on the Behind the Pen. You guys can go shirtless now.
Oh, we could.
We could do a shirtless podcast.
We could do a shirtless podcast.
I don't know if anyone wants to see me go shirtless.
I think that host's on a different website, guys.
Maybe. Anyways, I got Ricky Widmer with me, and you heard Dave Oster's voice. And now you don't.
No, now you don't.
But now it's the Fast Break Podcast. We just got done watching the draft. Well, at least the first round of the draft. And now we're going to jump into talks of the draft. But before the draft happened, we had pre-draft day trades. And D. Rose is not a Chicago Bull anymore. And we kind of did Nostradamus-esque there because we put out
It was a little spooky.
It is.
Timing-wise.
We put out a Fast Break topic saying, will D. Rose get traded to the Knicks?
An hour later, gone.
Boom.
To be fair, we did record that on the Saturday prior?
Yes,
Yeah.
the Saturday
post
prior.
time was kind of, an hour before.
So if you listened on SoundCloud, you were like, oh, I knew they talked about that.
Exactly. But if you're not and you're a YouTuber, everyone's like, you just got traded. You guys are stupid. Well, no, we just called it. Anyways.
Or we're psychics. That's the way I look at it.
Exactly. Anyways, on June 22nd, the Bulls sent D. Rose to the Big Apple. The Knicks got Derrick Rose, Justin Holiday, and a 2017 second-round pick. And the Bulls got Robin Lopez, Jose Calderon, and Jerry Grant of my Notre Dame. So, what do you think about the trade? Who's the winner? Who's the losers?
Fucking loved
I think it's a fair trade. As long as both teams kind of went into their understanding, what are we getting out of this trade? On the one end, you got the Bulls. They're like, all right, we need to move Derrick Rose. This has been a sore point for this franchise. He finally had a semi-healthy year, and we can kind of move forward. We can go ahead and replace a big because we're not going to go after Powell or Joe, it looks like, this offseason. So let's go get a great big who is going to be on a good contract for the next couple of years, and Robin Lopez. And then they get a couple little pieces tacked on to make the contracts even out.
I don't know, but I'm on the other side of it though, because to me this was basically, I know the Bulls do get Robin Lopez.
Yeah.
It's basically, he's a big that can kind of run the floor better than Powell did. But you look at Lopez, you look at Grant, you look at Calderon. None of those pieces matter. The biggest thing for this Bulls deal was them just getting Rose out the door. I don't think that these guys coming in are anything super special.
No.
It was just, you know what? Robin can work, and we fucking get Rose out the door.
That was the one thing. I mean, you said great. And I was like, I don't know if Robin Lopez is a great center. But
No.
Robin Lopez
a great
is...
contract.
Okay, that's fair.
Think about the money he's making versus the contracts that bigs are going to get this year. He's under $15 million a year.
I think that's kind of what people said. He would kind of be in the Bismack range. So that's basically we're getting a guy who's kind of established in Robin Lopez instead of taking a gamble on a guy like Bismack Biyombo. But
right.
With Robin Lopez, I think it's a great trade because, again, like you said, Noah's going out. And Robin Lopez has had decent health, so you're not going to worry about Noah where he was getting injured.
Yeah, I mean he's played over 50 games every year. So really, I'm not concerned about health. And look, he's a high energy guy, just like Joe. So I think that trade kind of pans out. Like, we keep the energy up. He can still give us some points and some boards. As long as you keep him away from the mascot, we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, well, he can't go anywhere near Benny the Bull. But I mean, not just Robin Lopez, but with Calderon, that's a deal where I'm like, why the hell would we take Calderon? Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's got $7 million a year, but he's going to be done at the end of this year. So that means basically we got a Derrick Rose who's going to walk anyways for $7 million, not 21.
No, you did not just say Calderon and Derrick Rose put up like similar numbers.
No. I'm saying like Derrick was leaving at the end of the season. Calderon's probably not going to be here at the end of the year.
Yeah, I can't see us re-signing him for next
So
year.
it's basically, I'd be safer with Calderon just walking instead of Rose and them throwing money at him.
See, I mean, you guys are the Bulls fans here. Obviously, you want the best side for
I
your
could
deal.
talk up the Knicks all you want.
Well, what I want to mention here is my boy Jerry Grant. You guys didn't talk about him.
I just figure it was
he's
the
$1
Bulls.
million. He's a great bargain.
Well,
see, with Jerry and Grant, people say that he didn't fit the triangle. But if you look at some of the games, I mean, he put up some decent numbers there. And I mean, in some of the games where he was on, he was finding a shot from deep. He was finding a shot from inside. I think he was scoring like 18 points. I think the last game he played in, he scored 18 points. I think he had back-to-back games with 18 points.
But honestly, is it just the fact that he's a guy with with okay talent who's getting plenty of minutes. And let's be honest, the options on the team weren't always there. So he could get his shots. He could get way more shots than he would normally. So I don't necessarily know if we saw, a good player there with potential. I know he's got some, issues with his game. He's not a well-rounded player yet. He's still very young, though, so there is upside. But there's a lot that we need out of him, without having, Derrick Rose a point guard. We're looking at Jaren Grant and Jose Calderon filling in that spot, doing double duty.
We also got Spencer Dinwiddie, guys. He's a point guard on this team.
You're right.
We still got Dinwiddie, so who's going to be the backup, Dinwiddie or Grant?
Well, I think Grant's what I was trying to say there is mostly he might just be able to score off the bench. I'm not saying he's going to be putting up like 10 a night, but I think he averaged around 5 with the Knicks. Maybe that goes up to 7. I think he's going to be decent off the bench, at least scoring-wise. And if he can find his range, his deep shot, then that's even going to improve his potential there because, having a guy who could shoot from deep is obviously key in today's NBA.
That's hopeful, though. I don't see his shot improving that much. He's able to get
just
to the
more
basket.
Consistent.
Okay, consistent. I'll give you. Yeah.
Well, and the one thing I wanted to touch on is as soon as the trade went down, checked my Twitter feed, checked my Facebook feed, and it's one of those things where I don't know about you guys. I saw all this hate for just why did we get rid of Rose? He's the king of this city. He's the son of this city.
On Reddit,
and I figured it out. With me, I'm sitting there as a basketball mind, going, you know what? They were great memories. Like the shot against the Cavs, what was it, last year, where he was just like giving that straight face, like, yeah, I'm a baller look, or like the dunk over Dragic and these Stacey King-like moments.
God, Stacey King's voice will just,
Did we have great moments with Rose? Yes, but the best way to put this is it's just like a relationship. Whenever a relationship ends, what do you usually go back to? The good times. You try to think back of those good times. And that's what, for you Bulls fans out there that are feeling pain for this, it's because you're remembering all those good times and you weren't remembering the Derrick Rose that gave up in a Game 6 in the NBA playoffs, a Derrick Rose that basically said he's going to test his options in free agency after this season. That's what it is. And that's why I feel like there's some hate on this trade from the Bulls fandom.
But also I saw the sides on New York side where there's saying people are giving it like a D grade, and people are saying this is one of the worst trades in Knicks history. Obviously, you can't forget about the Eddie Curry trade where we got two first rounders.
Eddie Curry, Bargnani. They've got a bad history with trades.
Those Knicks fans might be the smart Knicks fans, though. Because there are some Knicks fans that are like, cool, we get a point guard who can pass to Porzingis and Melo, and it's like, you know Rose's game, right?
Well,
Rose is a slasher who's going to shoot to find his shot. He is rarely a guy. He is not the point guard that is going to pass.
Yeah, unless I think he averaged about 5 assists for the past couple of years.
Unless it's I drew 2 defenders and, okay, I have to kick it out.
But with D. Rose is one thing. If he could stay healthy, then maybe you will see some flash of life from that lineup. But then that's way too much of a question mark.
And that was the thing with this trade that Garpax had to think about. It was, do we hang on to Rose right now and hope that because it's a contract year, he's just going to play out of his mind and stay healthy so that we could trade him big at the deadline? Or do we trade him now because we don't think he's going to be healthy, and that's why they pulled the trigger, because they thought he was probably going to get injured?
Yeah, what the biggest thing, though, I think what that Garpax even said in the press conference was, we love what Derrick had for us, but we weren't thinking we were going to be able to resign him in 2017. So I think the Bulls clearly won this because, first off, you get rid of, you let Jimmy Butler know that this is now his team. And obviously we had some doubts in that.
I was
going to bring that.
Yeah.
We had some doubts in that because, there was now talks that they were going to move him to Minnesota for Chris Dunn or even to Boston. Those talks are now dead, when we're recording this. So maybe those have life again. But, for right now, I think the feeling is that it's Jimmy Butler's team for the moment. Whether he's moved later on, we'll see. But for right now, it's Jimmy Butler's team for the moment.
And it was kind of a hostile, like if you think about it, this whole year was kind of a hostile takeover of the team by Jimmy Butler.
I wouldn't even call it a takeover. It was a struggle between the two of them.
You come in and like Thibs comes out, and in my mind, Jimmy Butler knew, you know what? If there's any chance to get this team to be mine, it's right now, because Joe was injured and Joe wasn't starting. Joe kind of like shut down and wasn't a big presence in the locker room.
Yeah.
New rookie head coach that didn't really have control of the team. So Butler's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go over these young guys, make them know that, you know what? I'm going to work out with them, make them see like I'm the guy that wants to work with you. Like the biggest criticism that most of our other Bull teammates for Rose had is that he kind of had this expectation where it's like, I got to work on it. I'm Derrick Rose.
He was a quiet guy. He kept to himself a lot.
Where Butler was, you could see him putting the work in the gym, getting it. Like,
I think it's a different mentality too, because it's a number 1 overall pick versus pick 30 of the first round, literally the last end of the first round pick.
Whereas Jimmy Butler, you tell him, hey, my shot's not right. He's going to be in that gym working out. Where Derrick Rose is like, nah, I got to practice it. I'm Derrick Rose.
So ultimately, who won this trade and who lost this trade? Was it the Bulls? Was it the Knicks?
I'm going to say the Bulls won. The Knicks were going to have to wait and see, because the thing that, it all depends on how he fits in with the Knicks, with Melo and Porzingis, more so with Melo. And 2, it's also going to have to go on how Rose plays and can he stay healthy. If Rose has a tremendous contract year, it's going to be great. However, Knick fans, I'm going to warn you this right now. If he plays out of his mind, you're probably going to throw money at him too much than he's worth, and then you're stuck with him.
One thing I do want to throw in here, though, is also we don't know what system they're going to play in, because they did bring in Jeff Hornacek, but also Phil might be
you've got
tied with the triangle, so we'll have to see with that.
Hornacek has said that the bigs like Porzingis are going to play a big role in this.
I think, honestly, you'll see shadows of the triangle within it. It's not going to be entirely pure triangle gameplay. And Phil really kind of talked about that. He touched on it points in the past couple weeks about he would like to keep it in there because he thinks it can work really well with some of the pieces he's got and some of the pieces he's looking to add in the future. So the big thing for me is, okay, now they've got Derrick Rose. Who's next? And, there's all these rumors, but purely about this trade.
Apparently, Phil told Rose that Durant is the one.
They're going to look for Durant.
No. He's the number. Of course, it's like, of course, he's going to be the number 1 priority. But when you're Phil Jackson, you're saying to Rose, you're basically saying, I'm going to get you Durant.
Yeah, and that's wishful thinking.
We're not being here for nothing.
That's wishful thinking.
And you also got to put asses in the seat in MSG. So, I'm going to go out and say that the Bulls won this, Knicks lost this. Because the Knicks, I understand where they're coming from here, and I understand this. And people can't call me a homer, so that's good, because I'm not a Bulls fan.
I'm not surprised here.
If DJ would have went to the Bulls, you would have been
I'm surprised here and say the Knicks are going to win this trade.
Really?
I'm calling it, yeah.
No.
Is that because they're going to make the playoffs in your mind with the addition of D Rose? Because I see that's the only way that they make this.
I see it as
win this.
They're going to make the playoffs. Derrick Rose, back-to-back years, he's now improved his game count. So he's healthier. He's still a good scorer. And look, Derrick Rose, a couple years back, I'm not going to compare numbers as far as his points, but as far as assists, think about this. When he was on a really well-loaded team, he was almost averaging 8 assists a night, 7+ assists a night. So now he's going to have all these options around him. One of the biggest problems with the Bulls teams of the past was their lack of scorers. He's not going to have this problem on this Knicks team. So maybe he doesn't have this whole, put this city on my back because now he's in New York. It's not his hometown. I think he's going to play a little more relaxed. He's not going to have that pressure. So he'll be more likely to, help pass around that ball. I'm not saying he's going to totally change as a player. I'm just saying that change of scenery is really going to do him a huge favor. And I can see this team. I know, all the jokes are like, oh, this is going to be like the 2011 All-Star team if they go out and get like somebody like Dwight Howard, to fill in that center spot. But I can see him being a very good fit there and change his game enough because he has those other options around him. It's a much more well-rounded roster than what he had to work with previously.
There's one thing I'm going to say, and this is the last thing I have for the Knicks side of it.
Yeah.
And this is a point that I heard in the brief little bit of Colin Cowherd's show that I was able to listen to today. And he said the one thing you got to look at is which Derrick Rose, because if he plays phenomenally, in order to keep him, you're going to have to throw a max contract at him.
That's the other problem.
The way he described it was there are some girls, hey, you're dating a Crystal, you're dating a Candy, you're dating that stripper. Do you want to settle down with that stripper? No.
I love Colin Cowherd.
You don't want to settle down with that stripper.
Everything goes back to his Vegas days.
You want to settle down with a good girl that you can bring home to mom. And his Rose, he's going to have, if he has that phenomenal contract season, which one of those is he going to be? Well, that's what you have to determine.
I think it comes down to is Derrick still thinks he's a top player in this league. And Jimmy still thought he was a top player. Jimmy thinks he is a top player in this league. Jimmy's a top 10 player in this league. And, that kind of whole mentality really warped that locker room this year. And we watched the fight between the two of them struggle for ownership of this team. Garpax went forward with Jimmy on the team. So now you have Derrick Rose, who's been outed from his team, from his hometown. So, like I said, I think the change in scenery is going to be huge. I think personality-wise, mentally, like he's going to be like, okay, maybe I'm not, the best player or a top 10 player, but I'm still going to be good enough to go out there and get that max contract. I still think he's going to go out there and average like probably 15, 16 a night and like 6 assists, which isn't amazing. But in today's NBA, his athleticism, if he can get, 65 to 75 games in, absolutely max contract.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Bulls won this one because with D Rose, you still don't know what the injuries. You don't know if he's gonna be able to stay healthy.
We're taking the risk.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking a risk here if you're in New York, and it's an obvious risk because you're the number one media market in the United States. You got to take a risk. You got to take a chance somewhere.
And they didn't have draft picks, so
exactly.
Look, you got to make a splash.
So I understand the next point, but I'm saying the Bulls won this because you're able to unload that contract. You're unable to unload a lot of pressure on Garpax and on Jimmy Butler and on Hoiberg. You're just
the pressure's still on Garpax. Don't you let them off the hook.
The pressure's still on Garpax, but I'm just saying you needed to move someone.
They've done something too that they've never done before. This is not a Garpax move. And that's why I was like,
credit too.
Finally.
You needed to move someone, and then you get decent players. I mean, Jerry Grant, you're taking a chance on.
Is it really just to screw with Horace Grant? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
for $1 million, could I see Paxton do that? Maybe.
After a year, we take them, send them over to Orlando, let them have some fun with them.
See, with Jerry,
the mind games are real.
See, I think Jerry, and it's a chance there. You see what he can do. If not,
he'll get
hurt.
minutes. We'll find out what he's worth. I mean, I think it's a good pickup. The big problem for me is just the fact that the Bulls really don't have a true point anymore.
Yeah.
And, it's a big concern. So it's going to be something they'll have to go after, free agency wise.
Well, and the one thing I'm looking at, I know that right now we're recording this during the second round, but kind of give you guys some real time. Bulls second round picks coming up in 2.
Yeah,
so that may change things.
We'll definitely see. There's trades going ahead, so we'll definitely see who's available there. I do believe Demetrius Jackson's still available. No, he's not.
Went to Boston.
Taking him. So this is why
you're a Celtic fan.
Yeah, this is the downfall of doing this live.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll go. I want to keep going on the Bulls thing real quick.
Fair enough.
Because they got Robin Lopez, who can obviously be a decent center. He could be a starting center. He's a good veteran presence. Same with Jose Calderon. I mean, terrible contract, but he is expiring. He's
terrible contract and terrible defender.
Yeah, a terrible player. But I mean,
but he's only going to be here a year at most.
That's what I'm saying.
Really
he's an expiring contract.
Yeah, but can you settle for him being your starting point guard in this league?
No, for a year,
but he's not going to be.
Why not?
He's not going to be. He's not going to be. There's no way Garpax is going to have Jose Calderon be their starting point guard.
Who's going to be the starting point guard then?
We have free agency, so
here's one thing I'll throw out there. Do we have a third-time return of Kurt Heinrich?
I'd love it.
Oh my God!
I think getting Kirk back in the saddle, baby.
I'd love it.
Point guard.
I'd love it, and Mike Rankin would love it too. But real quick, I
love Captain Kirk.
This also led down to what the Bulls did with their 14th pick. They didn't have to go with a big because if they kept D Rose, they'd probably have to go with a big, and there was a lot on the board there. And now
we're going to get into him come draft when we do the draft recap part of this.
And now it made them take Denzel Valentine. And I do want to cover this because, again, this is also a win for the Bulls because if they didn't trade D Rose, they would have to go with a big man, and I think that's what Garpax was looking for. Now they're able to go get a guard. They're able to get someone who's able to guard the 1 through the 3.
He's truly versatile, yeah.
He is, and the only real downfall is does he have knee problems? So one thing is
one knee problem to another.
Yeah.
When Jay Billis or Jalen Rose
said Brandon Roy.
It was
Billis.
Was it Billis that compared
he
him
said
to
one or
Roy?
the other.
Don't do that, man.
He compared Denzel's knee to Brandon Roy.
You know what else this trade did for the Bulls draft night wise? Well, who was the guy that most people were projecting us to take before Rose was taken? Deonta Davis. Could you imagine if we took him at 14, the kid who fell all the way out of the first round and had to leave the green room?
Yeah,
well, didn't have to. He decided to.
And now the Bulls just picked Paul Zipser from Germany. He's a power forward who can. I think he can stretch.
Stash him, man. Stash him overseas.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So they did get a big man there. I think the Bulls did a great job. I think the Bulls really cleared a lot of just a lot of tenseness in that whole organization.
I think this was a good move for the org overall because, like you said,
the org.
For the org, I was going to say the same thing. I was like,
Dave's hip.
I'm sorry about that. I can't use terms anymore. I'll just say the full words. But no.
That would be English.
Oh, wow. I feel the pain now. The pressure's on. No, the big thing is, like you said, they cleared out, the bad mojo basically from this locker room. They're trying to get everybody straight, and they bring in guys who can be small pieces. They can find out what they've got, and they can get rid of them at the end of the year. Robin Lopez energy, and he's a reliable center. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad move. I just think the Knicks are going to come out a little bit ahead as long as Derrick Rose stays healthy, which is a giant asterisk, I know. But
Well, he's got to stay healthy.
I'm a hypocrite.
Because it's a contract year. Because if he stays healthy, he'll probably play
gets
out of
money.
his mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a win if they make the playoffs. That's a win for the Knicks if they make the
So
playoffs.
what's the
Bulls,
win
I think
for
it's a
Bulls?
win. I think it's a win.
Period?
No matter what, you just clear that tenseness.
Well,
you
what if
clear
the
up
point guard
everything.
is just a leaking sieve for the entire season? Just get
then
murdered by everybody.
Then you wait till next year. I mean, with the Bulls, you just got to clear something up because I mean, you could just tell from all the rumors, all this thing. There was a lot of buildup in this organization.
Yeah.
And the one thing, early reports for next year's draft, I know a lot can change because of the one and done, but
Yeah.
early reports for the next year's draft is, this one was not as deep. Next year's is apparently really fucking deep.
Really
So,
deep.
I mean,
Top
even
50,
if
there's a
you're
lot
like
going on in that
14
draft.
again, or even if you're one and done in the playoff, like an 8 seed out, you're still going to get something.
At this point, as it stands, do you think the Bulls are going to be a lottery pick again? Do you think we're going to get like in that first round of the playoffs?
Right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we were like 12 to 14, but I would not be surprised if we were like 8 seed out in the first
still
round because
gotta-
Cleveland beat us.
Still got to throw that Kings pick out there too because we still have that. So if they fall out of the top 10, we get that first
That's
round.
a weird one though because it's still
We
top
could lose
10
it.
projected.
Yeah.
Protected,
and that becomes
yeah.
a second rounder.
Well, yeah, but if they fall out of the top 10, then we get their picks.
Yeah,
Or
but do we
then
think
you
that's
guys
going to
get their
happen?
picks.
Do we
I don't
really
know.
think
We'll see.
that?
We'll see.
Boogie
We don't know.
didn't seem to agree with their first pick, so I don't know
No.
how their future stands.
But I think you like the other ones.